Okay, to remove the engine, I am going to have to take off the wheel well, fender, tire, wheel, wheel well, fender, wheel well, tire. Yeah, anyway, then I can get in here to the exhaust manifold to get it loose, and it also helped me in there. Then I don't have to crawl underneath. I'm getting too old for that. Drop the transmission, rear, or the drive shaft, transmission. Get anything that's connected on the bottom taken care of. Then, because I am not going to be able to lift that very high while I'm up on jack stands, all this will have to come off. I believe I'll probably just go ahead and take the air breather out as well. Disconnect all this in front, all this on top. Get a cherry picker in here, pull the engine out. So the transmission will already be out. I'll get it serviced and ready to put back in. Get this engine stripped down. And then when I get the other engine, get it rebuilt, get it put in here, get everything checked out, put back together. While the fenders are off, I'm going to clean them up, get them primered and some paint on there. Frame, all the frame points, everything cleaned up as far back as I can go. Get everything painted up, looking nice, cleaned up, painted up, whatever it takes. Not sure what else to do. Any damage to the cooling system here, I'll get that taken care of as well, serviced up. Again, check all the electrical, redo the air, coolant lines, any hoses, wires, anything I need to repair or replace while I'm in there. Then, while I got the engine out, I'll probably service the suspension system and steering sector. Sounds like a plan. Okay, so I removed a lot of the front. Got the fenders off, wheel wells out, radiator, the air conditioner, cooler. Got everything evacuated, pulled out. Oh, on evacuating the air conditioning, you can usually call somebody to come out and do that for you. If you don't have a buddy that has the equipment, that's a good way to do it, or you can rent one. So, uh, 3 different ways you can do that. 4 if you don't want, if you want to get in trouble. But yeah, you can do that. So now I'm going to get the power steering pump removed, the alternator removed, and air conditioning compressor. I know some of this isn't necessary, but I'm also going to get the throttle body out and course, disconnect everything wired wise. Pull that off. I'll drain the oil and make sure all the connections are loose. I'll probably even pull off the water pump just to get that out of the way. I'm going to take out spark plugs. I'm going to take out the injection system. I might take the intake manifold off. Just as much as I can without, too much problem. Because when I pull that out of there, it's just going to sit on a pallet. It's locked up tighter than anything you can get. But yeah, just make sure you got on your air conditioning system, you'll want to replace all your seals on everything. And once I got everything removed up here that I'm going to remove, drain the oil, get I'll probably take the oil pan off the oil pump, and of course I'm going to remove the transmission. I'm not going to leave it in there. I'm not going to pull it out at the same time. I'm going to pull the transmission out, service it, and get it ready to go back in. And yeah, hopefully by the time I get the other truck, I'll have much of this ready. And I'll pull an engine and rebuild it and put her in there. So, I took off all the air box system, the air filter, and all that stuff. The only reason why I took off the fenders is because I'm going to go through and do some rust preventative here and there. I was checking to make sure there's no rust down here. Also up here, I didn't want any rust. I wanted to make sure everything's good there. So taking everything off the front, I'll come in here and clean all this up, and where it's just primered, I'm just going to go ahead and sand her down, throw a coat of primer on there, throw some paint on it for a little extra protection, and make sure everything's good and clean before I put it all back together. Again, the suspension system's going to get done before I put it all back together too. Also, like I said, I think I said before, it helps you to get into your helps you to get in here to your exhaust manifold and your exhaust pipe and disconnect that on both sides. Get into your oil filter a little easier and get that out of the way so you're not mangling it into anything. Also a little better clearance. You can get into your motor mounts a little better, and anything else you need to remove. I'm going to remove that plastic drain piece. Starter will come out. And I'm going to also pull the exhaust pipe out because it's bad. I'm going to have to get a new one anyway. Catalytic converter probably. I don't know. We'll see what I got on that other truck. Yeah, I can get in here to everything this way. You can see pretty much everything in here. So yeah, that's the best way I think to do it. I mean, you don't have to do all that. You could probably lift this engine out without removing hardly anything, but I just want to be sure I get everything fixed properly. Okay, I am down to water pump. I'm going to go ahead and remove it. Make it a little easier to get in and out. And I'll have to remove the heater hoses. There's of course the sensor down here. It'll have to be disconnected. All the wiring up front, with the exception of the coils and the injectors, are ready. So everything's pretty much loosened up. Like I said, just the one, what is that, crank sensor, I guess. So I'm going to have to pull the pulley off and remove the water pump, remove the heater hoses. That'll come off. I think I can get pretty much all the bolts with the exception of the one behind the pulley. So that'll definitely have to come off. Alright, so I'll get that out of the way. Okay, I got the intake manifold out, and I got everything that I can unplug from up top and in front taken care of. Everything looks pretty good up here. Now I've got to climb underneath, disconnect a few things, drain the oil, and then drop the drive shaft and the tranny. Then the engine itself will be freed up and ready to go, with the exception of the motor mounts. That'll be the last thing. Looks pretty good. Pretty dirty. And I think I found a problem. That looks pretty nasty. The others, you know, normal, burn oil. That though, I don't know. That's pretty bad. Head gasket, valves, that's all pretty much shot right now, right there. That's part of the problem, why it's locked up, part of it. I'd say it might have overheated. I still want to take off the heads and find out. And the oil pan, check the bearings, crank bearings. But yeah, now to crawl underneath it, work on it some more underneath, and get everything disconnected there, and start dropping drive shaft training. First I'll make sure everything's disconnected and underneath, and go from there.